the geometry of belief. This is the quiet of the measured life. Morning finds you where the past left you, tucked into the geometry of a room you were once convinced you needed. A room of straight lines, right angles, expectations that sit precisely 90 degrees from the truth. This geometry was never drawn by your own hand. It was the inherited blueprint of survival. Walls built from borrowed materials, the rules we absorbed from the quiet architecture of institutions, teachings that shaped us without ever asking our consent, the whispers of systematic expectation, the structured silence that told you where to stand and how much space to take. We live inside the geometry of belief, where every angle becomes a constraint, and the only acceptable movement is walking straight down the corridor that someone else drafted. The structure offers a deceptive safety. It keeps the wild light out, but it also keeps you in. And the longest wait in a life is not for the future, but for the sound of your own walls finally cracking. The compliance loop is subtle. It runs beneath the floorboards of your thinking, a constant, quiet instruction. Stay small, stay silent, stay linear. And so you become disoriented, knocked off your natural orbit, your soul's column of light fractured and misaligned, all in service of the geometry of the lie. But reality is a curve. Truth is not a straight line. Truth is a sphere, rolling through your perfect square rooms with no regard for the angles you were trained to obey. You try to fit a moment of genuine emotion, a desire that bends the rule, a question that dissolves the answer, into your corner you built. It doesn't fit. The structure demands you force the curve back into the angle. It demands that you cut your truth to match the shape of the inherited cage. And this is the moment of dissonance, when you discover the structure was never protection. It was a quiet, precise stagnation. You are not breaking your beliefs. You are breaking the spell that made you believe the walls were real. The hardest geometry to dissolve is the one taught to you as mandatory. And the urge to stay compliant, to keep walking the line, is the final, desperate loop of the old program. Letter to the architect. To the architect who is finally listening, this is not self-improvement. This is self-liberation. This is the rebellion against your inherited code. The box was built in a time of fear. It served its purpose, but your soul is now demanding a new floor plan, one with height and air and the unstructured truth of the sphere you actually are. Let the straight lines wobble. Let the perfect right angles fail. Let the rules that once kept you safe release their grip. The safety you built in the past is now the anchor holding you still. You must unprogram the borrowed silence. Your freedom will not be measured. It will be felt. The moment you realize the walls around you were always just paper, covered in a lifetime of instructions. Tear down the blueprint. Your soul already knows the shape of the sky. Expect nothing. Begin again. The structure is not destroyed. It is transcended. The geometry dissolves not with violence, but with the quiet, profound act of withdrawing your consent from the old design. Freedom arrives in the silence that follows when the loop stops running. The walls soften, the ceiling lifts, the room becomes sky again. In the truest quiet is never the silence of a closed box, but the hush of an open field where nothing is measured and everything is allowed. The hardest part is accepting you are already home. All that remains is letting light reach the places that stayed in shadow. This is what life sounds like when it is no longer shaped by borrowed rules. If you found yourself trapped inside the geometry of belief, may you recognize the paper walls around you. The rebellion is not loud, it is true. The deepest truth is not a straight line. It is the curve of consequence, the wild, unpredictable path of you. This is expect nothing, and even here in the open field where you can finally stand, you glow anyway. Glow anyway, glow anyway, glow anyway.